Hey, Steve. How's it
Hey,
going, man?
it's going all right, man. Going all right. It's just us today,
It's just us today.
and
Again,
we
they let us
pulled
take over.
and we pulled the Eugene straw.
Well, I've been sort of itching to watch some Eugene. Eugene is one of the greats, and I must admit, I'm excited to see that other book. I'm fascinated by this idea that Eugene Berger is releasing books after he's passed. It's all of
Amazing.
his real stuff.
It's amazing what he can
I've
do
been
from
having
the
fun with that
afterlife.
other one. That's for sure. It's good. He's one of the greats, and he was definitely, when I was coming up, one of the kind dudes who was visible that he really helped me in a lot of ways. He showed me a lot of things about magic that I don't know that I would have understood completely if I learned it in any other way. And his books are really, they're wonderful. I think that Mastering the Art of Magic, which is all this theory been put together as one bound thing, I think that's like one of the most classic theory books that there is, and sort of a necessity. I
You
love
know,
it, all that stuff. It
I
means
think of
something new every time you come to it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I think of like um there's like a group of magicians that like have a different perspective, or they develop a different, like Eugene is one of them, where he has his own like room in the world of magic. It's just very Eugene, you know what I mean? And I think David Williamson's another one, right? He's got his own room. It's like, yeah, you can go to a lecture for him and it's going to be great and funny and everything. You might learn a trick, but you're never going to create what he can create in a room.
Right. He's got
You
his
know?
own thing.
Yeah.
And I think that those guys are well aware of that, and they do
Yeah.
their best to sort of like let you
Sure.
peek behind the curtain enough to understand that there's a
Yeah.
process, but you're not going to be them.
So, but Eugene is like one of those standalone guys like that, wouldn't you say?
No
I
doubt.
mean, he's just that standalone. He's got his own little flag that he planted, and it's very Eugene and very good, and very strong.
It's all the things that you would want from like a pop star, or like an actor. He's got his own look. He's got his own way of speaking. He's got a lot of his own philosophies. All the magic that you see, it's immediately identifiable as Eugene Berger
Yes,
magic, right?
absolutely.
Very good, very good. And in fact, I put together some interesting clips of Eugene, and I sort of started at the beginning on purpose so that we could see Eugene doing something that he might not necessarily do these days, or at the days of the material that we really speak a bunch. And it seemed to be more like close up walk around stuff, like table stuff that he would do. And it's sort of before he realized this persona of Eugene Berger. You can see it's sort of like it's sort of in flux still. He's still becoming the Eugene Berger that we know.
He's
So
developing.
let's start with that. It's actually, it's pretty cool. Let me do this. Let me set this thing up. Perfect. And let me share this with some sound. Good. Okay, here we go.
Oh,
Let's take a look at
Steven's
this.
video.
Yeah, look at that. He's wearing a tuxedo, man. I don't, you don't see.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Anyway, all right.
Well, here we are. It is nice to be with you here in the studio and with you at home. Your first name is?
Nancy.
Nancy, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you can make the video louder.
Nice meeting you. Nancy and Cheryl.
See, let me do this. I think I have to turn it up more on my end, and that'll do it. It's weird. All right, let me see if that does it. I think that might have done it. I think that might have done it. And we go back to, sorry, here we go. No, I lost it. Oh, man.
Oh, it's the secret manuscript.
Hang on. Don't.
The secret manuscript.
There it is. Okay. Shh. Special surprise.
It's Alex's memoir. It's his memoir.
All right, here we go. I've got it under control.
There he is.
All right, let's try this again.
Start with this because it tells me how observant you are. You see, if you're not very observant, this is a lot easier to do. Yeah. Nancy, what do you think it is?
Yellow ball.
Not bad. Have you ever heard of sawing a lady in half?
Yes, I have.
You have. This is called sawing a yellow ball in half because you get two of them. Yeah, two of them. There's the one that squeaks, and the one that doesn't. Yeah, or is that the one that squeaks and that the one that doesn't? Maybe I squeak. Now, you get the first question, Cheryl gets the hard ones. Nancy, hold your hand palm up, a little time on the rack, and you'll fit perfectly. Now, if I took one yellow ball and put it in my hand, one in your hand, hold it tightly. If I took my ball, sounds kind of kinky, doesn't it? And threw it to you. Now think for a minute. How many balls in my hand?
None.
Good with numbers, I like that. How many balls in your hand? Open your hand. Yes, exactly, right. It's the thing is your questions are harder. Yeah, it's addition. Ready? 1 plus 1 equals...
2.
Yeah, normally it does, but I tend to cheat. Yes, really. Let's try that again. Look, 1 plus 1 plus 1. Here's where I fake you out. Ready? Minus 1 goes back in the pocket. How many in the hand?
2.
You don't have the ring of the game. Here, hold your hand palm up. The one with the nice watch. Well, you have that actually glued to your hand. How very clever. Now, if I took all 3 of them, hold them very tightly. Please let go of my finger. Thank you. There's that 3% everywhere. Now, if I didn't do anything at all, how many balls in your hand?
4.
She wants to escalate the game. Slowly open your hand. Well, onward and upward. Now,
And that is a pretty straightforward SpongeBall routine.
Yeah, that was the first time that I ever saw the jumbo load, was seeing Eugene do it, where you do the multiple balls in someone's hand. And to me, that was always an elusive, wow, that takes a lot of courage, you know?
Yeah.
And it does, because you're definitely, you're shoving a lot of balls into someone's hand, you know? And I've also played with the other one where it's like you make it form into a big jumbo ball in their hand,
Yeah.
you know, where you have it twisted and it looks like, you know, interesting, but it's interesting to see Eugene Berger do
Yeah.
a classic SpongeBall routine. You don't associate SpongeBalls with him.
And it's very straight. When I say straightforward, it's just like, it's a pretty, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. If I say standard, I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's like a pretty
commercial
standard.
It's a very cool routine.
SpongeBall routine, you know? And that just goes
easy
to show
to understand.
And that just goes to show you why it's great, why SpongeBalls are great, and why they're so popular. Because it's straightforward, it's easy for people to understand, and it's super visual. And it's just, you know, I mean, if you're not doing some form of sponge something, don't call them sponge anything, but I'm just saying, if you don't do something,
It's right.
Bunny.
Yeah, just call it the ball trick.
Yeah, the ball trick, whatever it is.
That's
You know,
right. I mean, the reality is that it's really, really a tough trick to beat. I have a tough time leaving SpongeBalls at home, you know.
It's tough.
And there was a lot of years where I consciously, and it was a Eugene Berger idea. He said something like, I don't want to be perceived as a man who carries around that little red ball, you know, or the little sponge ball. And I don't want to be perceived as that guy either. And I like sort of let it go for a few years. But when you look at the reaction that the thing gets, I mean, it's tough. It's such a great piece of magic, man. It really sets the stage.
Yeah, the reason why it's around so long is that it's like, it's just a solid thing, you know.
It's a real classic.
And that's why Eugene's doing it, you know, because it's just something solid. But the reason I started carrying a very short SpongeBall routine that I do with just 2 balls.
Me too. Yeah.
Is because so many times I would get to a place at a gig or something, and I'd be like, God, I really wish I had those SpongeBall. This would be a perfect spot for it. You know, you get some kids or something. You know, I don't work for a lot of kids. You know, I mean,
but when you do,
you're like, dang, it would be so perfect, right? This is exactly what I need right here, you know. But
yep,
you know,
I have them tucked into every case everywhere because, you know,
they're cheap.
I'm not going to be without them now.
That's the
They're
great
cheap.
thing about.
I buy a giant bag of them these days.
Yeah, that's what's great about SpongeBalls is just like you see Eugene did right there, right? He finished, they're everywhere. He just threw them on the floor, right? And he's going to go on to the next thing, whatever it is. It's just like not even worth. They're of no value.
Exactly. So this next one is it's interesting because there's sort of a version of it that we'll get into in a later at a later date, but it's the germ of the idea in a lot of ways. I think it's the most magic version of this trick. It's a coin trick he has, but I think it's wonderful. It's definitely one of his favorites that have been around, and it's been around in his repertoire for a bit here. So let's take a look at this. This is fun.
I have to show you this. It is a red die. Now, sometimes when I do this, people say to me, oh, it has something to do with that ring. Now, there's the ring. 2 empty hands and a red die. Now, the die is not weighted or loaded, and every time I throw it, I get a different number. Look, there's a number 3, and there's a number 2, and there's a number 2. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Here, Cheryl, give it a throw. You got a 4. Not bad. Now, here's the thing. If I took the die and just rubbed it between my hands, it would turn white. Now, when the die is white, you can do some weird things with it. Let me show you. 3 1917 silver $half, with the Lady Liberty on one side and the American Eagle drinking a quart of oil on the other. Oh, yeah, you have to see it. It's right there, yeah. Now, here's the thing. If you take the coins and one at a time and put them in my left hand, 1. On top of that, 2. On top of that, 3. The little die goes in my right hand, under the table. Ready? 1, 2. Hear it? That was the sound of one coin going through the table and joining the little die. Yes, it was. Oh, you're applauding, but I know you don't believe a word of this, but it's true. Look, one coin goes into the left hand. The second coin goes right on top of it, and the third coin goes here with the little die. 1, 2. One coin. Now, I have to be honest with you. The last coin is always the most difficult. This time you're watching closer, see? So, one coin goes into the hand, 2 coins and the die in this hand. Now that is fair, isn't it, Cheryl? Nancy? Yeah. Fair. How do you feel about that? Yeah, people seldom feel good about that. I did that, however, to excite your suspicions. Look, 1 coin. And the hen-pin chen move that didn't happen, a little joke for those people out there, 2 coins and the die. 1, 2. Press down on my hand. Thank you. No coins. Now, look. 1 coin in my left hand. The second coin in my left hand. The third coin in my left hand. The little die right on top. Press it once. A little too hard. Here. I'll hold your hand palm up. Yeah, right here? Yeah, here. Blow on the die. Perfect.
It's a neat little routine, isn't it?
It's a neat little routine. But the thing that I really wanted to point out is that it's like Eugene usually he's like speaking of the earth or like things are happening. And that's like the beginning of him just being a close-up guy. We're doing it as let me show you the magic, right? Step by step, let's show you the effects. And it's interesting to see him sort of progress into this other thing that we all has. And that, you know,
this is very early. Yeah, it's very early Eugene right here.
Still very talented, very skilled, but he's not the Eugene that we remember. You know, he evolved into this next thing. And that's sort of what the next little bit gets into here. So let's let me keep that going on here. Hang on one second.
What's nice about that coins through table is it's got some interest to it with the die, but again, it's a very straightforward handling.
That's right. That's right. Actually, I have one more here we'll get to it later and we'll see a more evolved version of it, but it's interesting to see because it's technically like it's flawless, right? It's just another beautiful piece of magic, but let's take a look here. Let's do that. Here we go.
In many ways, magicians are like normal people. Oh, yes. One way is that they have favorites, and this is mine. But we have to set the stage. Now, the candle has absolutely nothing to do with this, but it makes the atmosphere a lot more festive, and so I like to use it. Yellow cotton thread that I get at Marshall Field's in Chicago, and so it is perfectly respectable. In fact, it could be more respectable than me. In fact, I kind of hope it is, because thread does not have a lot of fun, you know. Now, I'm going to take several feet of thread, and using vampire-like teeth, a recurring theme, I will now sever the thread into smaller units. Notice how quickly he does this. Notice also, at no point does the thread cry out. In fact, it kind of enjoys it in an arcane kind of way. Now, this is an example of pure sleight of hand, as opposed to just messing around. I'm going to take all of the pieces and leaving one piece only in my right hand, I'm going to roll the pieces into a ball. As they say in Dick and Jane novellas, roll, roll, roll. And then I'm going to roll the little ball onto the center of this piece and just hope it hangs there. Nancy, your big moment has arrived. Pinch your fingers together like this and pinch the little ball once. Absolutely perfect. You're welcome. Look.
Great. Just great, man.
Just a great little piece, you know?
It's classic. I think it's very poetic. I think it's really one of those things you could do without saying anything, right?
Now,
now he doesn't do it like that. He definitely has more to it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was going to say that, but we have a delay going today. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, I don't notice it on my end.
Yeah. I don't know why, and I don't think we can fix it, but just letting you know.
Okay.
Didn't he used to cut the thread by burning it on the candle?
I think that's what he does now.
Or what he did, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see another version of this in a later Eugene Berger episode where he sort of what that evolved into. Like I said, I just wanted to look at the beginning and then move into, you know, what we know about him, because it's it's interesting to see that process, at least for
Of
me.
course.
You know,
No, it
you know.
is. Yeah, absolutely. I think it
So,
should be for
and
anybody.
now, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But now we're into it. Now we're into definitely what we would know as more the modern Eugene burger. So let's get into it, because this is really a beautiful thing here. Let's get into it here. We'll go full screen. Here we go.
Well, what I want to do is some magic. Hello. I'm here with Kathleen and Mike, and I'm going to show them something rather interesting. And before I do that, I shall first set the stage with a magic carpet. Don't look in the magic box, Kathleen. Your eyes will fall out. Little candle, and here, tell the matchbox to stand up.
Please stand up.
Tell it to fall down.
Fall down.
Much easier. Tell it to open.
Open.
And not only that, the best part is that you can actually check this out as I light the candle.
Oh.
I did it for you. Now, one of the questions people ask me is whether I have certain secret preparatory exercises.
Do you?
Yes. In fact, I'll show you one. It's done with the magician's friend, a pack of playing cards. And first of all, you can see that these cards really are quite mixed. Here's the idea. You square the cards up, you place them down, you think of an ace. Take a deep breath. And you cut to an ace. Well, let's try it again, shall we? Why not? You think of an ace. And you cut to one. Oh, I know this seems rather amazing, but I bet you could do it too. Do you want to try? Yeah, you. Here, think of an ace and cut the deck.
Okay, think of an ace.
The ace of hearts for you. Well, that's not bad, but of course
Look how
you
strong
are
that
going to be
was.
defending mankind everywhere.
The pressure's
The
on.
pressure's on,
The
exactly.
gauntlet's been
The gauntlet's
thrown.
been thrown, exactly. Mike, do it. Cut the deck. Turn the card over. Well, yeah, but you did it the hard way, right? Say yes.
I guess, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
well, M, first letter of your name. I, K, and wouldn't you be surprised if this were the ace of spades?
Yeah.
Yeah. You did.
Look at how powerful that was.
It was a simple ace cutting routine, but it had all the elements that Eugene is shooting for, right? He's got it in their hands for the last two phases, and it becomes super mysterious when they do it. It's everything you want out of a magic trick, man. And it's simple. He cut the 4 aces. It's as simple as it gets for a magic trick, right?
When she reaches over and cuts the ace, did you see? I mean, you know, I realize that we're looking at some kind of a magic video where it's not a real live reaction, but you know, it's still, I mean, she was surprised that happened, and she's expecting to see magic, and she was surprised.
Right. You don't expect it to happen in that way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen when I do it. He's going to make a joke or something, but whoa, hey. It's good. It's good.
Good. That's right. I mean, it's good.
Let's check this out. This one, it's really quick, but it's really great. And I think it's one of the coolest ones yet. So let's check this out. He calls this the world's fastest.
And there you are.
Very good.
Well, now that I'm ready, let's do something kind of strange. I call this the world's fastest card trick. And I call it that because it is the world's fastest card trick. In fact, it is so fast, you're both going to miss it. I tell you that right up front.
All right.
Yes. I'll use the 3 of hearts. The world's fastest card trick. Ooh. Yeah, you can touch it, yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. It's the most simple effect that there is, just a simple color change, a simple card change. And I think he plays it as a real, like, that could be a piece on a TV show. You know what I mean? I think that's wonderful. And that's really starting to get to the place where Eugene, like, is the Eugene that we know, like those kind of quick, hard-hitting effects like that, you know? So
he
good.
was, yeah, he was the type of guy. I saw him at one convention and he lectured, and it was like a 45-minute lecture or something. And it was great, you know?
Yeah.
But he didn't perform. Like, why would you have a close-up show and not have him perform? I don't know the answer to that. And so I really feel like I missed out, you know what I mean, in seeing him. Now I've seen him on video a ton.
I think you probably lucked out. I mean, the reality is from what I understand, he did a handful of those. I got to be at one of those, and he didn't start until midnight, and it ended up being like 2 hours. He didn't do any. He turned off all the lights in the room, and
he
just
sat
went
in a chair, right? The room was dark. He sat in a chair and just talked, and it was great.
He
Do
took
not
questions.
get me wrong. It was
questions, and it was just wonderful conversation, and I learned a lot about magic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But I was, but I would, you know, I would have loved it if he at least done a show.
Yeah,
you know,
fair enough.
Like I want to.
I did see him. He did do the show at the convention that I saw. The one that I'm thinking of specifically, he did do the show, but it was like a couple pieces in the stand-up show. He didn't do close-up for sure.
Right.
But he seemed to be accessible to talk about all that stuff, but he was not.
Oh, he was super nice.
As a thing.
Super nice.
Oh yeah.
In the bar till 4 a.m. He would have fit in at a Summit.
Man.
Yeah, he would have fit in at a Summit. He was at the bar 4 a.m. ordering another round. You know, where's the hospitality suite? You know, he would have been just like one of us.
I think that's really the truth. He was
really do.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely a one of a kind. He's a one of a kind. Amazing.
Yeah.
And a real champion for Al Baker. You know, that was one of the things that I got from Eugene that was a hidden surprise, was just learning about Al Baker and then being able to start the journey of learning about the magic of Al Baker. Eugene was really one of the big proponents, and he sort of brought back to life a lot of the Al Baker things, like the Haunted Pack. You know, just the Haunted Pack in general. Eugene made it sort of famous again when it was not cool. And he has a real practical method, you know, that he can do walk around. And a lot of the magic of Al Baker is just super strong, and he's sort of been there, done that before. Most of the people have done a lot of the things that we see as like what would be modern magic. A lot of it is pretty much what Al Baker was doing. And I hate to be the guy that says, go and find this book that's out of print and you can't find it. But The Secret Ways of Al Baker is all of the Al Baker books in one. And it's really one of the best magic books that's ever been released, just because it's all of his books in one place. It's really fabulous.
It's, you know,
so I'll just leave it.
The thing about magic is books, man. It's like all the good stuff is in the books.
Books are where it's at. That's I've found that books are where it's at. I mean, tricks are great. It's nice to buy tricks. It's nice to buy devices, and you know, I love James Bond.
I love them. 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 I like the neat little
totally
thing that
into
does something.
Totally, it's like a toy for us.
Yeah.
I love it, but at the same time, if you really want to learn the principles of magic, you know, you look at just tried and true pieces that are written out in these books where, yeah, you might have to build a gimmick, maybe not, maybe it's something you have around, but that's where the real secrets are. They're in all those old books. And if I know anything about magic, it's because of a bunch of magic books, you know. Guys like Eugene Berger help put those things into context, you know, because for me in the beginning, it was all books.
That's it.
And then I went on the hunt, and I had to go and meet the people that wrote the books that were still around, and sort of ask questions, you know, find out why are these things written? How did you come up with these things? What's going on there? What are the real secrets of these? You can't really put in a book. But we could sort of glean through conversation, you know, and that was the second part of the education.
Yeah.
Right? Going and hang with the folks that you can.